Hello everyone, this is Melissa Sweet, public health journalist from Croaky Blog. We're sitting in Roban in Western Australia, and we've just come out from a languages expo that is on, which has been convened by the Wongamaya Language Centre of South Auckland. And I'm sitting here with Robin Chapple, who's an MP in Western Australia, and Michelle Adams, who's a local woman from Roban. And I'm just going to ask Robin to give us a quick introduction to the matters of grave concern that he raised today at the conference, which attracted a lot of concern from people in the room about threats to Aboriginal heritage in Western Australia. So Robin, could you just give us a summary there, please?
Yeah, just quickly, there is an amendment to the Aboriginal Heritage Act before Parliament at the moment, which will put all the power and control into the hands of the CEO. Will basically emasculate what we call the Aboriginal Cultural Materials Committee, so there won't be Aboriginal people making decisions, and as a result of that it will just be a bureaucratic process which says this is a site, this is not a site, not involving any surveys, not involving Indigenous people or anything. So we've got that issue going on, but also at the same time, over the last 4 to 5 years, we found out that the department has been removing hundreds, if not thousands, of registered sites in Western Australia without telling the traditional owners, the custodians.
And the net effect of this will be to make Aboriginal sites much more susceptible, vulnerable to development and mining. Is that the sort of reason?
That's the reasoning behind it. That was where it really came from. It came from an inquiry in 2009, which the industry raised concerns that Aboriginal heritage was an impediment to development in Western Australia. Now I think that's obscene. I think that is low, because our Aboriginal heritage, and I use the word our, because we're all Australians, it's our heritage, and so we cannot comprehend it in the same way as Aboriginal people do, but it's immensely important to who we are as a nation.
Thank you very much. And now Michelle, could you tell us a little bit about where you're from and then why these issues matter?
My name is Michelle Adams, and I'm in Yumani Woman. I'm from Roban. Just hearing Robin's presentation this morning here at this language conference, I, like everybody else, feel really alarmed that once you had an Aboriginal Heritage Act that's been sitting there since 1972, we have seen development go ahead in Western Australia at a rapid speed, and these processes of heritage clearances in native title, and where development is happening at too fast a pace, Aboriginal people, traditional owners, I feel, are under a lot of strain, they're under a lot of pressure to make decisions, because business and industry operates in a very different time frame to community. And what I have found as a consequence of native title, where Aboriginal heritage sits in this process under native title and clearing heritage, is a very difficult one, and it's been very challenging. When I say stressful and challenging, it's because people have no true idea of consequence of what's going to happen to their land, what's going to happen with hills and rivers of value to people. How will we be able to visibly show something and say, that's what that place is called, as my grandmother told me, but it's not over there. So how do I myself personally reconcile that and say I felt responsible? At the same time, it's a thing that government has done continuously to Aboriginal people for a long period of time. We have been kept dragged, kicking and screaming, into this process we call native title. And to me, it's done nothing but divide people. It's caused trauma, they call it lateral violence. I heard somebody speak of lateral violence before on television, and we see where people never had an opportunity, once powerless, and now you have a sense of authority, and you can show your leadership as you truly should have been given in the first place. But then suddenly people don't know what to do with all these processes, and unless we as a community, I think, and government respond to this too, in a way that native title, I think, as we've come along now, Robin, from the Mabo decision, and my kids have grown up in this. They're 8 and 9 now. 8 and 9 at the beginning, or the Mabo decision. They're now 26. So a lot of Aboriginal kids have grown up in this.
It's almost a full system.
It is a full new system, and I think of defining events in history. Just Roman people, my mom, I think about when they first started going to school. 1967 was a defining moment for Aboriginal people. I think in Roban, the building of the dam was a defining moment. The death of John Pat in custody was another defining moment. Terrible moment. But these things shape being, their mind, everything. And people really struggle staying committed to something because our time, we have very little time. You see all those people sitting in there, many of them sit on 4 or 5 committees. And it's like native title has become a tedious job, and it's a system made for conflict. It is a system made for conflict. We have to go in and challenge and try and represent our best interests when it's a colonial structure. And that colonial structure has been an imposition upon our lives throughout our history, and it's another imposition, it's another system. Changes to the Aboriginal Heritage Act is another imposition that benefits the majority, but not us as it should be. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, that makes total sense. So what you're saying is, when there's a threat like this coming from changes to the Aboriginal Heritage Act, you can't just see it in isolation. It's part of this much wider system of organised policy and government that is harmful to people.
Yes, it is.
Also, these days, obviously with suicide, that's something that is happening more and more, because some of the young people just feel so isolated. They can no longer follow their culture, and that's been taken away from them. And there's, you may not know, but I lost my own foster child about 3 years ago up in Rome. But same thing, lovely young man who just found that he couldn't go anywhere any further and took a terrible step. We, through the Kimberley, the mob are fighting it, trying to do the best they can, but government don't seem to understand what the drivers are.
Yes.
And the drivers are dispossession and lack of respect.
Yeah, lack of respect. That's it. Just lack of respect for you look at the elders. I mean, those big, amazing big bush meetings you would have attended when you were a young man, and
like 3,000 or 4,000 out of you.
Yes, incredible, and that's the power and authority that we'd still like to hold on to. Some of us are lucky to have been present to be immersed in that authority, that cultural way of it's a yes or a no. There's too much grey area that exists for young people, because those strong old people, they're not there to say, no, you can't do that. Yeah, you can do that, but we're going to come to him first. That leadership, and it's functioning in there. I see it. I'm really proud of those oldies in there. Proud of their resilience, their amazing resilience to still be able to give, no matter what they've been through. able to smile. They're still able to smile. And my 9-year-old, my 11-year-old, she grew up in native title. All the kids, they grew up in native title. They were able to sit down and listen to people give evidence. Well, this is a battle. I thought we already had this country, Mum. I said, didn't our great-grandmother, didn't we already know these places? You were bringing us here, but now you've got to go there now. They don't understand it.
And the terrible part of this is that native title doesn't give you country back. What it does is give you country back so that you can sell it to the white fellow.
It's a crazy piece of legislation. That we got enough small people around. If this is not working, this will never work. We've come this far. We've got all these organisations now. We've got our corporate bodies. We're doing all these things. But at the same time, we're taking away land, and we're gonna find a balance between us. And no, I think we've got enough mines in Western Australia. We don't need to build anymore. I think you know we've got to have these discussions at a very high level.
I just wanted to let you know that one of my friends and colleagues, Dr. Lenore Geyer, who's a Palm Island woman, so the other side of the country on Townsville, has just tuned in. Lenore has a nursing and midwifery background. She's an academic in Chapple Uni, and she's also one of the supervisors of my PhD. Hi, Lenore.
Hello, Lenore.
Hello, Lenore.
And Lenore, just commented you're really wanting eldership and leadership. She says hi back. Hi there.
Well, look, I think the leadership and eldership, we as white fellas, you know, I'm trying to put myself into that basket. We went out of our way to destroy, maybe not consciously, but to destroy that elder statesmanship. And one of the ways we did it was we brought too many people together. And I founded a Panya back in the 70s where we brought lots of people in. And when you had a smaller community, you actually had an elder, an old man or an old woman there.
Yes.
And they were in control of maybe just 20 people. And everybody knew who to go to. Once you bring a mob together of maybe 3,000 or 4,000, that individual control starts breaking down. And that's where we started the outstation movement back in the late 70s, helping people go back onto country so they can regain control of their family group. When you've got a big mob, it's very, very difficult to do who is boss.
That's right. And there was mention in the conference, just to let everyone who's just joined, we're just outside the Pilbara Languages Conference. It's been held over 2 days. There's mention of a big meeting at Ewell tomorrow. Sorry, it's very windy, so I've got to get in a bit closer. Sorry, Lenore. Thanks for letting me know. Can you tell us what's happening at Ewell tomorrow? Is that something you can...
Yes, we're going to hear the government's new amendments to the Aboriginal Heritage Act, and as Robin was saying, he's encouraged as many Aboriginal people from right across Western Australia, and those who have an interest particularly in Aboriginal culture. I think they're our friends, people who are passionate about keeping you know, look, we want to talk about conservation. We want to talk about how do we keep our places for us in order for language to survive. And one of the biggest things for me, and it always will be, and a thing that comes through for me in these language conferences is that without language, we will always fail to transmit culture. And if we don't have our places, those links, we take one thing away, we take another, and then we become a non-person. That's my own view. And we see a lot of young people going down that path spiritually because they're losing that connection. We're losing leadership to be able to keep bringing our children or our kids along with them. It's a very difficult one. I wouldn't, and when you think of adversity and people living in all corners of Australia, it's really hard, and some families and cultures have depth of knowledge about their country, and then you have others who don't for lots of reasons. But that doesn't make them less Aboriginal. There's a spirit then inside. Everybody's got an attachment to country, to place. And then for others, when that sense of attachment and you lose that spirituality, is grief. There's a sense of person dying inside. And when that happens, I think people think they are of no value to anyone. And it's that thinking, the trauma that renders people useless to be able to get up and feel good about themselves each morning. And if we don't stay connected with our families and we don't stay connected through language and transmitting culture through language, and then I think our bonds within our family and community starts to do this, and people wander off. And then it's really difficult. I couldn't move. I mean, as an Aboriginal woman, I couldn't put one single thing that cause and effecting. There's so many things.
Lenore's just making the point, being from Palm Island, she said her son wanted to learn his grandmother's language, but his grandmother's language was prohibited by the government. So that's sort of how history reaches into the present.
We've had experiences here, people have shared, the stolen generation, people have gone to missions and were denied their language, yes. The most beautiful thing is that people have gone out now, become language specialists, they've picked up their languages and now are teaching it back. And there are, really great examples of people sitting inside here today that share that story.
As I listen to you, as a health journalist, I'm just thinking of the need for people who work in health to really broaden their understandings of the factors that affect the health and well-being of Aboriginal people, moving away from that very biomedical approach to, where are the health organisations standing up on issues like, the heritage legislation or the trauma of native title.
I think battles will continue to go on at this level. The best thing we can do is make the change here, on the ground, here. The things that we can do, that we can reach out to our projects here.
I think one of the issues is the government must realise that when they actually talk about Aboriginal people, they're not one amorphous race. Aboriginal people are established by where they are and who they are. And so when you actually talk about, we'll represent Aboriginal people, the only way to represent the Roman people is to come to Roman, sit down with the Roman people and listen to their particular concerns, their aspirations. And this is more about having conversation than that beautiful word which we completely misuse, which is consultation. We want to tell you what we're going to do and we're consulting. Come and talk. Now, having worked in remote communities, I know that it took me 3 or 4 months for anybody to even be able to accept me, because they want to know who I am and how I fit. And do I understand? Am I empathetic? A minister rolling up and saying, hello, I'm here from the government and I'm here to talk, are you guys listening? And then walks away at the end of the day. Well, nobody's going to get anything out of that. Come and sit down with them all. Hear what people want.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Michelle, is there anything you'd like to say, wrapping up? Anything reflecting on what's been taking place over the last 2 days?
Respect, I think we all need to respect diversity, maintain that level of respect between elders, their worth, their value, and then you have children. The future is in our children, and it's so many factors that are creating so much chaos in our lives at the moment.
I know, we got a lot to answer for, I can tell you that.
That it turns back on us, and we internalize it and turn it back towards our own people. So we are victims of a system and then we victimize our own. And I hate that process. It has traumatized me through native title for a long time.
I mean, I remember talking to some older people here in Roban many years ago. They said, when I was born in Roban, I was part of the Roban mob.
Yes.
I wasn't Yinjibandi, Nabirara, or Madu family, or whatever. And when native title comes along, they pick a side.
And yeah, that's the new system. And I've seen it, and I don't like it. I don't like it. What do I do? Do I declare myself as Yinjibandi within a white fella's construct and have no benefits from native title, or do I just stay Yinjibandi with native title? Has it affected me? I just stay Yinjibandi who I am and my kids. I don't know. That's a big question. And when you don't understand bureaucracy, you're already behind the 8 ball. So when a consultant comes to sit with you at the table, or a minor development, the decision has already been made for consultations. Tokens, and then, it's an everyday I just lost I think we need to have that conversation at Yule River tomorrow. I'd like to see people challenge the whole native. So how far have we come? The pros and cons of it. We talk about Aboriginal heritage delisting now. We have under the Act what they call those land use agreements. What happens to those land use agreements? Those land use agreements that have already been implemented. It is a legitimate form of heritage description. You've signed it away, but then there's the miners using your example that can operate outside of a process, and then what happens to them? With native title, I don't think the thing that bothered me the most was it doesn't take into context the cultural decision-making process. Suddenly you have all multiple people all in the same room, and in the Yule River Bush meetings where they have that authority, that they're sitting here, they're very respectful, they're observing cultural protocols, and they're themselves sit and then talk, but they got to be in their position, holding it their way in order for everybody to start that conversation, then say, no, that's not right, no, we don't think that's right, we can come together, and then one word comes out. And if we can do business like that,
interesting is that when we as a white fella go along and say,
sorry about that, everyone. I hate to put the phone right up in people's faces, but
when you actually come to a meeting and we ask, what do you think about this? Well, some people will say yes, some people will say no, but a whole lot of people won't say anything because they daren't cross a decision that's already been made by an elder who said yes or who said no. So you quite often get this situation where 10 people say yes, 10 people say no, and 50 don't say anything. Because culturally,
it's right in your face.
Culturally, it's difficult to get a consensus from everyone because some people just aren't able to speak to each other.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that bureaucracy just assumes, that Aboriginal people can make a decision together. But cultural protocols will prevent you from doing that always. And where is the respect in that?
Yeah.
There is none.
Yeah.
So it's a process that constantly puts Aboriginal people under duress dragged kicking and screaming is something that they don't necessarily agree with or don't necessarily understand.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you very much. I'm sorry for holding the phone right in your face.
That's okay.
But it's just because of the wind. People have been having trouble hearing a little bit. So we'll just sign out. I'll get our speakers just to say who they are as we end up in case you joined us late. So thank you very much. Lenore's just saying beautiful faces. Beautiful faces in the face. Lenore's got a beautiful face.
Wandiwa from Iramagoro.
And Balya, Jingaroo Balya from the desert.
Lovely. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.